onto the beach, take my surfboard out of the vehicle, and put my wetsuit on and fucking ride waves all night from 12 till 6. And then I go home, put the car in the driveway, dry off the seat, go to Tim Hortons, get a coffee, and go to college the whole day. And when I was in college, man, I'd be walking down the hallway like I was floating, man. Because like nobody knew that you could do that, right? Because they're all from out of town and shit. Nobody knew. I was the only guy that did it for 10 years. I was just floating down the hallway, man, just like I was high. Like I was drug free, didn't drink. You know, I got out of rehab when I was 16, and I was totally drug free, didn't drink. I was 18 at the time, and going to college. 18, 19, maybe 20, 18, 19, I guess. And I was in school, the only thing I could think about is fucking waves. I was like, oh, waves. One day I was like, I can't wait to get off school so I go home and go surfing. And fucking, I just kept dreaming. I just kept watching everybody on all the break at college. I'd be watching surfing videos. You know, Hawaii, people riding waves in Hawaii, just going nuts, you know, and the only thing I could do is skate, right? And then, you know, I'd track storms and do my thing every opportunity I could. And I just got to the point where I was, you know, I need more. I need more, you know. I need more. So I sold everything I had, including my drum set. And I said at the time, this college thing, I'd failed a course, and they wanted me to do a course, and I was behind and stuff. I failed one course, and I had to stay behind and do it. While everybody else did something else. And I was like, at that point, I was so pissed off with the grading criteria in school. I said, you can't mark art like that. I don't want to brag, but I was probably the one student that really had potential, you know. In my projects, it wasn't the fact that I was better than anybody else, it was the fact that I wanted it more. And I'd always sought my own education to excel. And they had these grading criteria that I wasn't willing to follow because I was just that kind of person, you know, the way I felt about things. And also because they were trying to conform me to be the kind of person that would get the job. And I wasn't willing to go that direction. And so I dropped out with a 1.5 year education, and I applied to go do missionary work overseas with a Christian organization. I had referral from the church because I was active in the church at the time. I was going to the youth program and that kind of thing, and I knew the pastor. I was getting involved in the youth program, and I was, believe it or not, I was a pretty good Christian kid when I was a kid. I was in this, you know, all kinds of programs and stuff, and so, you know, I went overseas to Hawaii. I was living in Hawaii on Oahu. I was there for 6 months. And for 2 months, I rode a bike there with a PVC pipe surfboard rack, and I had brought my 7.2 round nose 3-fin board that I had ridden for quite a while. That board was a sacred ornament for me. It was a holy tool, and I brought it with me, and I would ride down to Waikiki, and I'd surf 3 different breaks. I would surf Waikiki, the main one, you know, when we pile out, it breaks off the reef, and then I would surf Queen or Publix, and then just to the right of Publix, there was where the pier was. There, they set up and watched the movie on the beach there. At nighttime, I would even ride. You're not supposed to surf there, but I would ride little peelers in there that break off the reef there at nighttime, and I did that for like 2 months at every opportunity I could. And near the end there, they had us doing all kinds of Christian stuff, so I couldn't surf as much as I wanted to, but I caught a wave on at Publix there one day. It was a medium-sized day, and I caught this wave. I dropped it on this wave, and it was just this, maybe 4 feet. Really nice peeling left-hander. Right? And I used to call them right-handers because for me it was I was headed in the right direction, right? My back, I was riding front side, right? So I used to call them right, whatever. So I was dropping on this wave, and it was just peeling, right? And I was just standing on my board. I was just standing there because my board was a round nose, 3-fin, really smooth but really soft rails. And I was cruising down this peeling wave, and I was looking down, and because the water was so crystal clear, I could see the reef underneath me. I was peeling across the reef, and I was looking down, and it was 3 feet below me, below the water, but I'd never seen anything like it before. I was just cruising, I was like, holy smokes, These were like peeling waves, like peeling reef waves. I was like riding this wave, I was like, holy smokes. And then, and that was over. When I got off that wave, I was like, I don't know what to say. I said I'd never probably seen anything, experienced anything that beautiful in all my life. And then I went home. I just felt like I was riding waves in the hot sun all day and laying in bed there with the breeze coming through the window, and had a fan on me, right? So I was feeling the hot sun, and the water, and I was laying in bed there. Oh man, it was pretty hot there. But I liked it a lot. And then at nighttime we had to go out and evangelize, so what I did was I went to the grocery store and I made a whole bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I went around handing them out to the street people. And some people didn't want it, some people were really skeptical, but a lot of people said, yeah, sure, no problem. We stopped and talked to them, and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. A lot of people thought it was pretty cool, and so that's the kind of way I wanted to serve God, I was like 19 or 20 or something, and so then it came time to go on an outreach, so I chose to go to Cambodia. They wanted me to cut my beard off because I had a really long beard at the time. They wanted me to cut it because of crossing immigration and stuff, so I had to cut my beard. I didn't want to. At first I tried to defend my right to keep it, but then they pretty much said if you don't cut it, you can't go. So because they say that you would scare the people there, right? They don't do facial hair and all that, so So what I did was I let them shave me, and they filmed it. And I felt like the whole time I was on outreach, I had to conform to do it their way, and I always took offense to that. I was like, that's not the way I believe in God, you know. And so I used to take on my own time. I'd go out and I, you know, me and this other guy, we cooked out a big batch of fried rice and took it down to people on the riverfront and handed it out to some kids and some families down there, because there's poor people, homeless people down there. And got some Rumpeltons and handed it out and gave out some money here and there. And so that was probably one of the best things we did there. And taught English classes. I was an English teacher and taught English classes and did a sermon one time. And I did some body surfing there in Cambodia, down by the beach there, in Siem Reap, Siem Reap was the end of what, but Siem Upville, and taught guitar lessons and English classes there, and then I went to then I came home, went back to Hawaii for a month or two. And when I got home there, I paddled out, and I could barely paddle out because I hadn't been surfing for like 3 months, right? I spent 3 months in Cambodia, so I was so frustrated. I was fucked, you know? Fuck. And I just felt so hopeless, you know? And fucking so... Come time, it was like they're ready to ship me back. I didn't have a visa to live in the States, so they're like, you know, you gotta go home and do that. So I was getting worried. I was like, I have nothing to go home to. Nothing. I don't want to go home. Fucking, but I had to. So I was getting to feel like. Around the same time, I kind of felt like it was, they were kind of trying to, they had so much religious practice, like they make you sing together, and you know, they deprive some of their people of sleep, right, so they can have an influence on them and stuff, and kind of try to get them to conform to their way of worship and all that and stuff. And so when I left, I kind of felt like, because I hadn't participated, I hadn't invested myself in the group prayer and stuff like that, that I kind of felt like I was wasn't accepted, and I kind of fell away from God because of it, you know, like. I kind of fell away from God, like I just kind of felt like I didn't believe like I used to, you know. And so I came home and I got all fucked up, man. Fucking. I came home and I was so fucked, like. I forget what happened, but my mom kicked me out. I came home and I told my mom, like, the way I just really opened up to her about how I felt. Before I told her I was having some symptoms of mental illness, I went to the doctor all by myself without any consultation with my mom or anybody. I went to the doctor and told him how I was feeling. He diagnosed me with a mental illness and gave me pills. And then I went home and told my mom, and she helped me. You know, she tried to understand it and try to see what she could do to support me and all that, and fucking got me, you know, helped me get you know, do the doctor thing, and I told them how I felt about anxieties and not being able to hold down a job, and not be able to work in a public place and not be able to work around other people. And I told him it was really debilitating for me, and it was. It still is. You know, like, so, you know, I ended up getting a disability, and I didn't have a whole lot. And after a while of that, after a while, I broke down, you know, and I said, I pretty much felt like my life is over. I pretty much felt like I have no future with like this, you know. I'm going to be a loser. I knew friends that were on disability before, and I just figured like I'm never going to be anybody, you know. I'm going to be a loser, and you know, nobody will be able to love me, and I'll be viewed upon as a freak and a weirdo, and so I was so depressed that I got kicked out of my house. You know, my mom, she didn't want me fucking vegging around. She was like, get the fuck out, you know. She didn't want me around. She's like, get the fuck out. So I was on the street. I was living on the street. And I wanted to go off my medication because I didn't like it. When they first put me on medication, I was so over medicated I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. Like worse off than before I went on it, right? So I was pretty much like fuck, you know? Like, so I didn't tell anybody, and I stopped taking my medication. And fucking, for like a year, I made it 2 months. And then I got to the point where I couldn't sleep. I was having nightmares all the time, waking up as soon as I fall asleep, and that went on for weeks. And I felt like I was going to die of exhaustion because I couldn't sleep. And fucking, so I went to the doctor, and I told him I need sleeping pills. He gave me some sleeping pills, but he also recommended I go back on medication. So after a while I did. And I could sleep again, right? Fucking you know, it's really fucked up, man. Fucking some friends kind of turned me into my mom. I was hiding out, and they turned me into her and told me I needed to go to the hospital and all this and that. Fucking, that's one thing I have an issue with. That even to this day is having people discredit my own decision making regarding my mental illness, and fucking it just really bothers me, like, because seriously, like, I have been turned in, like, to the point where the police come to my door and take me to the hospital, and they hold you for a certain amount of time to watch over you and make sure that there's nothing wrong. And if there's nothing wrong with you, they let you go, right? And fucking, so that I ended up leaving, but after about a day, I pretty much wanted to talk to the doctor. I said, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I want to skateboard. I want to go home, be in my own apartment. I want to be here. And he pretty much said, you need to calm down. And he said, you need to go in this little chamber here. And he held the door open to this isolation chamber in the center of the ward. He goes, you need to go in here. And I go, I don't want to go in there. And like 15 guys out of nowhere, he pressed the little buzzer. Like he signaled to the people in the observatory section, and fucking 15 guys come out of nowhere and just fucking, they all pick me up and carry me to the fucking little isolation chamber and tie me down to a bed and fucking stab me with needles and fucking put me in one of the doctors put me in a chokehold and was like crushing my windpipe and I couldn't breathe and fucking, and they're like, they put me in a straight I broke out of the shackles when they left, and then they came back and put me in a straight jacket, fucking stabbed me with needles again, and fucking, after about 3 or 4 hours, they let me out of that and put me in shackles around my waist and my hands and my feet, and I was in shackles like that for 5 days in a little isolation chamber, and it's degrading, man, your humanity, and it makes you feel like they can rip your freedom away at any fucking moment, and that's the way and then that's the way you go on living your fucking life. That's no way to feel secure, and fucking, and so it's stuff like that. And then when it's all said and done, the doctor's ready to let you go. He pretty much looked at me and said, that was a mistake. You didn't need to be here. I was just looking at the doctor and go, oh wow, that's cool. I could have told you that, but you didn't want to hear it. Fucking. So I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Fucking. So I fucking. So I got a grant to go back to school. After that, I talked to my mom. I told her I didn't want to be so medicated on medication anymore, and she helped me. We talked to my doctor together, and the doctor said we can try to wean you off to a lower dose, and we eventually got me down to half the dose, and I felt really good about it. And my mom testified that it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I began surfing again, skateboarding again, and I was just doing really good, just doing really good, and fucking, now I have such a good life, such a really good life, and everything's going really good. This is the best off I've ever been, but, back then, fucking, I got a grant to go back to school, and I once again, as soon as I got into the school, I was like, this is a load of shit. I was like, what a load of shit. There's people behind me that, schizophrenic, fucking behind me in the row behind me when we're on the computers. And fucking, I'm like, I was doing my work and I hear him just joking around, making fun of me and shit, right? I was gonna get up and go put his head through the fucking computer, man. So I dropped out. I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. Fucking dropped out, right? Fucking. So I started smoking pot again. And got hooked up, started smoking pot. After not smoking for like a really long time and then getting high again, I got really fucked up. But after a while, you get used to the feeling of it, so it's not so intense. And then fucking, I just remember the first time I got high and I looked at my cat, and my cat looked at me, and the cat looked like it was really disappointed in what I did. And I was like, fuck, And then fucking, but the second time it was kind of different, and then after a while I went back. Did that for a while, and that kind of shit. And then I got a job at the grocery store, and fucking, while there I was working at the car factory. It's probably the best job I ever had, but I fucked it up because the way I felt about contributing to a cause you don't believe in. It was really hard labor, worse work, and fucking, I realized I didn't want to do that, but the money was good. I would walk out after working 8-hour shift and have $200 after working 8-hour shift. And fucking, it was the best money. I was like, this money's awesome, but fucking, I hated the work. It was so terrible. And there were times I'd get off of school and they wanted me to go in and work till 2 in the morning, and I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck this. And I didn't want to do it, so I quit. But And then I was still living in the north end of that apartment building there, and fucking I was skateboarding all the time, and an opportunity came for someone to give me a ride to the beach, and we stopped and picked up my surfboard on the way, and I went there and I rode some fucking waves, and I was like, oh, I love that shit, I love it. So I ended up moving down to the beach, like as a primary purpose, moving down to the beach just so I could surf. And fucking, I did that for 3 or 4 years. And then tracking storms, surfing storms, and skateboarding down to the beach. It was really a special time in my life. I really loved it. And skateboarding at nighttime, and there's a, I just became one with the area. It was like such an awesome way of life. But the waves were they just weren't. I discovered that the waves did have potential. It had its moments. In the summertime, I had a really good summer one year, and I was, I love this, And then I realized I wanted to step it up a notch. So I moved to a bigger body of water where I could surf bigger, better waves, and moved away from my family all on my own. 3 hours away from home, all by myself. Had a really good summer there and just fell in love again. And then when the winter time rolled around, I said I want to move to the ocean so I can surf more. So here I am. I'm probably as far away as anybody could ever possibly fucking be from my family, and I'm lonely, but I'm happy. I'm really lonely. Like it's so isolated, it's reclusive lifestyle. But I love the waves I get. It make me feel alive. I'm really happy. I have a really good life. Like I just love my life. It's just, I know that if I ever, that back home is not the place for me, because I went home on a visit and I felt like, oh my God, is this place ever fucked? I went, fuck, man. I landed touchdown in Toronto there, and I went, as soon as I got on the 401 there, I was, oh my fuck. I was fucked. What the fuck is this? Got home, Mom gives me a cigar and a beer, fucking sitting on the porch, I go, oh my fuck this, fuck, oh, this is fucking shitty. But fucking, it was nice having company, because I get really fucking lonely. But one day I hope to get a little place, where I can sit out and play guitar on the porch, have a couch out on the porch and play guitar and do the country thing and smoke the cigars and drink the booze out on the porch. And one day, when my parents pass away, and if I get an inheritance, be nice. The bottom line is I don't have anybody in my life. My parents, I let go of, and that's the thing is, when I was, just because my family always tossed me around and neglected me and considered me, that never invested the time to teach me my own worth or anything like that. I know we're all busy, but I always kind of felt like I I didn't belong to them because of it, you know, and then I fell in love with God in my own way, you know, and I associated myself with belonging to God. And I began to share my love with God in many different ways. And then there came a time when I lost that. I haven't been the same since. It was a good thing, you know. It was the best thing I ever had. Really. And, I was deterred from reaching out. And my life became meaningless. Existing for simple pleasures, one after the next. But granted, when I'm out in the water, and I'm riding those peeling waves, I feel in love again. And I feel like the best part of myself is coming to the surface, and I am connecting with my Creator. You know, and I feel like the best part of myself is shining, you know. And that's the best part of my life. I have nothing greater than that in my life. I never will. And it's not the fact that I'm smart enough to realize that I never will have anything greater than that. Because I'm not capable of allowing anyone to love me. And I'm not capable of having a family, because I was abandoned by my family as a young age, and I don't ever want a family of my own. I believe that God has given me a different kind of love, and a love that is worth more. A pure kind of love. Not pure is a bad word because it's associated with racism, but I think pure, when I say pure, I mean like a more loyal type of love, you know, unforsaken type of love, faithful kind of love, you know. And I feel like that is what I have with God, and ripped it away from me, and left me with a broken, meaningless man. But I don't know, there's not a whole lot that I want in life, you know, because I don't believe in anything, you know. I don't believe in anything. There's not a whole lot I want, you know. That's probably part of my problem today, because the biggest part of my problem, I should say, is the fact that I don't believe in anything, working towards anything at all, you know. To be honest, I'm just kind of here to drift away, you know. I moved away from my family so they didn't have to watch me die off, you know. Because, you know, they wouldn't know how to understand somebody that gave up on stuff like that, you know. That's why I moved out here. Part of the reason why I didn't want anybody that loved me to see that happen to me. So, big part of the problem is I don't believe in family. I don't believe in family. I don't believe in... Everything's so fabricated. It's not real, you know. Always has some kind of side objective, some kind of side purpose. It's not straightforward. It's not real, you know. It always fails. So I don't ever believe in ever working towards something like that, you know. And so that's part of my problem is I don't really like being with having a role in society because I never belonged. I was rejected from society for doing the right thing and believing in the right thing and not selling myself short. And I'm not selling myself short, but it's not the way I want to say it. But for doing the right thing and not succumbing to the temptation of selling life. You know, I didn't want to do that because that's pretty much the only opportunities available now in today's world. Is when you're willing to desecrate life. And I wasn't willing to do that, and I realized that I would, you know, I got last place for being that way. And that's part of the way I feel about things, and fucking, that's why I don't want to be part of society. I just, you know, I want to be alone. I want to be out in the country. Just be out in the country and be alone and come in to get my groceries, but I don't want to be part of the candy shop, man. You know? I really don't. I want to do my thing and be alone, you know. Maybe have a dog I can talk to and share meals with, that kind of thing, you know. That's part of my problem is I don't have any goals. Nothing to work towards, nothing to believe in. I've already attained everything I wanted. The only thing I really want now is material. You need money for that. That's the one thing I never had. So I do what I can, fucking. I live in these low-income houses. It's a fucking place. It beats living on the fucking street. You know, it's kind of one of those situations where you can't have your cake and eat it too. Fucking. Everything seems to be like that. I don't know why. It seems like whenever you discover a moment's peace, there's something out there to take it away from you. Seems like that's the way it fucking is. I can't say it's what I fucking contributed to in this world, so. And now I feel like I'm getting old. I still haven't found what I was looking for, you know. I never will. That's part of it. You know, the worst part about it is I have to go. I don't like being around kids. I love kids, but I don't want to be around kids because I don't want to be the one that has to tell them there's nothing real out there. And I don't want them to see me because that's what I'm portraying with my presence. You know, and it's like I don't want to be in that role. I don't want to be that role, you know. Because I did everything I fucking could for them. And you know what? I found that my opinion wasn't wanted. So, you know, I believe I'm right, and I always was right, and I still am right. You know, it's just, it's not, people aren't ready. Until it's too fucking late, which seems to be the way it fucking goes. And, you know, I don't know what else to do but walk away and just see ya. That's the way it fucking goes, you know? So what started off as a short surf commentary, documentary, became a life story of Dan. So thank you for listening, and we will conclude this some other time.